Hello everyone, my name is LaPrecious and welcome to my channel. Let's talk with LaPrecious. So today I'll be doing a review on episode 11 of the real Blac Chyna episode called You Shouldn't Text in Church. So in the beginning of the episode, we saw where Blac Chyna and Treasure was still fighting her house. I know it's been a long time since I've uploaded a video on this show, but I've been going through some things, and some of the things that I went through I could relate to in a few episodes of the previous Blac Chyna episodes, and I just really didn't want to get involved in what was seen, what was said, and how I felt. So I just chose to not even review those episodes. But moving along with episode 11, which is what I'm covering right now, with Treasure and Blac Chyna, I feel like that whole scene was just staged. It was staged. And I know a lot of you that have been keeping up with Blac Chyna, have been keeping up with the blogs, and have been keeping up with Chyna's appearances and Instagram posts about the show and whatnot. This whole show has been created by her, really, as a way of having drama, kaflama, people tuned into the show, people interested, but she's not doing a very good job with keeping this stuff under wraps so that we don't find out the behind the scenes stuff before the episodes come out. Because that whole scene with Treasure, it was staged, it was fake. And Chyna pretty much played Treasure. I mean, I'm going to just be honest because even though I was starting to like Blac Chyna a little bit when she came out, to Wendy Williams and said she wanted to be the real Blac Chyna, wanted people to see who she was and whatnot, Chyna has not changed. She is the same finessing Instagram model that we all know her as, and that she became in her heydays of Rob Kardashian and Tyga. Blac Chyna is no different than what she was 3, 4, 5 years ago. She is the same finesser that she's always been. I believe that whole scene with Treasure, she said, "I get that's why I wrote you off with your, by you giving me your W-9." And Treasure was like, "I gave you a W-9 as a way of me helping you out because you made so much money and you lost all your employees, so you had to write them off." And Chyna was like, "No, I just did that to trick you, to give you a W-9 so I could write you off." And I feel like if two people are saying a completely different thing about the same subject, somebody's lying. And it's Chyna who's lying. And I can back it up with facts because to anybody who knows Chyna, Chyna has a buttload of lawsuits. Chyna has been sued by the Kardashians, by Rob, even Lisa Bloom that defended her in the whole revenge porn case between her and Rob Kardashian. Lisa Bloom dropped her because Chyna didn't even pay her money. Her shop is closed because of her not filing the taxes for it. And we all know those cars because Treasure even said it. She's the same boat that I'm in. What does she own over there? And yeah, Chyna doesn't own none of those cars and probably don't even own that house because how could someone who says they're balling and making money? We all know Chyna used to take pictures of her and Amber Rose with the $100 bill bands up to their ear, acting like they're talking to money. But if you got all this money, why are you not paying these people? Why didn't you pay Lisa Bloom? Why didn't you pay the Kardashians? Why didn't you pay the taxes or file the taxes on your shop to keep your business and stuff going, because Chyna, I feel like her perfect picture that she's painted so much over the years is gradually cracking and crumbling and falling. It already cracked and crumbled when she was exposed when her and Chyna broke up back in 2016, and it was even more exposed in 2017. But I feel like now Chyna is really being shown for the type of person that she is. I mean, the other day, Blac Chyna was supposed to be on The Real, and she pulled a no-show. And Lonnie Love, she shaded the mess out of her, by saying, and here comes Blac Chyna. And she showed a picture of the stage with the couch, but the couch was empty, pretty much saying, Chyna's supposed to be here, but she's not. And, I read an article that said Chyna was a no-show, no call. And Lonnie was pretty mad about that. She said, you messed up an opportunity for somebody else to come and get the exposure that you took from them. And she said that even cost the production team a lot of money preparing for you to come. So I'm like, Chyna, your way of making money is by using people. to the extent that you can get. And then when you make the money that you feel like you should have made for that time being, that's when you start snatching the rug from under people's feet and getting them to, saying, get the F out of my house. You using me, you playing me, you a bum B and this, that, and the third and everything. That's pretty much what Chyna did to Treasure. I mean, like I said in my previous episode, Treasure was her yes man. And Treasure, she was starting to get some confidence, starting to get some bark, starting to get some sense. And a lot of times when people use you and you start talking with sense and you quit letting them use you and stuff, they don't want you no more. And that's pretty much what Chyna did. Chyna threw Treasure away like she originally wanted to, because Chyna felt like, Treasure was a single mom. She needed her. She needed somebody that she could take care of, blah, blah, blah. And that's pretty much what she did, because, I mean, everybody saw it with Chyna and these so-called friends. You had Paige, the friend that, was so into her and all up on her and Rob's show, wondered what she was going to do with the baby. And Chyna was like, why don't you stay with me? Because I can't be in the house all day with a baby by myself. And then Paige ended up driving Chyna's car and crashing it. And Chyna got sued for causing damages to the other people's cars that Paige had caused. And I'm like, Chyna, you keep getting all these yes people and these people that are not on your level around you, and you're using them for whatever reason. I don't know why, because I feel like if you're going to use somebody, at least use somebody that can put you on and put you higher than what you are, instead of just keeping people around you that's just going to receive anything that you give, and then when you're tired of giving them stuff, you kick them away. So I feel like Chyna's tactic of using people is very flawed. So that whole scenario with Treasure saying, I didn't embezzle any money, you're saying I embezzled. And yeah, Chyna, I believe what she said, because you have a track record of not paying people. You have a track record of using people and finessing people out of their money. You even finesse us, and I'm ashamed to say this about myself. You even finessed us with this TV show, because you made it seem like this TV show was going to be all about the real Blac Chyna, the Blac Chyna we don't know. And we watching the episodes, you and your mama arguing. You're not saying anything. You're not telling anything. You're not talking about anything. You're not really giving us anything to grasp. It's like you create this big old fiasco and got everybody looking and peeping. And then when we finally view the show, it ain't nothing hardly to watch. So I'm like, Chyna, you need to find a hobby instead of finessing people, because this is getting real old and real tiring, and you're really starting to look childish. I'm like, Chyna, grow up. You keep saying, you're 32 years old, you're getting older, you got kids, they're getting older and stuff. Well, you just need to go out and get a job. Like, I'm sure you have a job with, the Instagram modeling career that you do, doing the Fashion Nova posts and whatnot, club appearances, making money from that. But Chyna, you need to get a job, instead of being Blac Chyna, because this whole Blac Chyna persona, it's not going to carry you much longer unless you choose to do something with it. We see that, your tactic is modeling. See if you can get hired by a modeling agency. Model for Fendi, model for Prada, model for Gucci, model for a Bugatti, a Maserati, a lot of these expensive cars that you keep parading around and, like, make some money off of that stuff. Be a model. You like to cook. You used to cook a whole bunch of stuff on Snapchat and Instagram. Write a cookbook, get a cook show or something like that. I felt like I said everything I need to say about that. But yeah, Chyna, you need to grow up, because this whole finesse ordeal you got going here as your means of making money is getting real old, and people are exposing you, because you slipping and trying to get Lisa Bloom to be a public defender, and then you getting all these people around you to try to look all big and bad, but then you can't even pay the cost to be the boss to keep these people around. So that's all I'm gonna say about that Chyna Treasure ordeal. Because that whole fiasco right there, it was fake, it was staged, and Chyna just did that on purpose to have a moment on her show by using Treasure as the bait. So moving along to after that, her and her other people on her team were talking about Ashton and how he left and everything that's going on. And then this her spiritual guide named Miss Mary had came over and was talking to her about God and how you need to let all these yes people around you go, and you need to let all these people around you go that are not for you, they're using you, they're hurting you, and all you're doing is just giving to these people, and you need to stop thinking that you have to roll with people because you've been so familiar with them by being friends with them for 10, 15 years or whatever. And China was really listening to her and whatnot. She says everything that she's saying is true. Said God must really have something for me by her telling me this. Now, fast forward up until the time they go to church. Miss Mary came over again. China was dressed for church, and Miss Mary was saying, where we're going, right? We're going to church, and church crowds can be rather judgmental. And China was like, oh, okay, let's go to church, blah, blah, blah. You could tell China really wasn't down with church. People, when they do dirt, they know God is real, and they know God don't play that mess, so they know how to play nice, but they know at the end of the day, as long as they say, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus, and pray and cry a little bit, they'll be good with God and they go on and do their dirt. As long as they ain't done too much harm, for God to get them like they probably really need to get God. So, moving along to the church scene, Bishop Noel Jones. And I'm gonna be honest about Bishop Noel Jones. I'm not surprised that she came to his church because, as we all know, he was on a very popular TV show a couple of years ago called The Preachers of LA. That TV show was such a hot tail mess, and people were so up in arms about that, they pulled it. Because them preachers on there, including Bishop Noel Jones, was acting a fool on that show. So, they came into Bishop Noel's church. He was preaching and everything. And then his girlfriend, wife, whatever she was, I don't know if that's even the same one from the show. Because I remember a lot of issues that people had with him was that he had a live-in girlfriend that he was sleeping with that acted as the first lady of the church, but he wouldn't marry her. Like she would say, we're going to get married, blah, blah, blah. He was pretty much being an F-boy to her as a pastor. And he wouldn't marry her and none of that. And I don't really keep up with Bishop Noel Jones because he's just one of those preachers where he's one of those black mega church gospel preachers that a lot of us looked up to as 90s kids. Our parents blared their sermons on the radio and on TV every Sunday because Bishop Noel Jones was up there with Juanita Bynum, Bishop T.D. Jakes, and all the likes of those popular Baptist like preachers, as well as Creflo Dollar. And I know I'm saying these are random, but there were a lot at the time that was coming out, especially from places like Atlanta and Texas, that a lot of us grew up listening to and knowing. But, due to the church, being exposed for what it is, and Christianity being so mixed up and throttled by these so-called preachers as well as others, that's why a lot of these, prominent black preachers, except for T.D. Jakes, have lost a lot of their luster. I mean, yeah, we've all fallen short of God's glory and whatnot, but a lot of these preachers and prophets and stuff, they ain't been living too righteously, and a lot of people have been seeing them for who they really are. So that's why people like Noel Jones are not as popular anymore like they used to be. So moving along to, China listening to the sermon, and then she was seeing everybody shout and get happy with the Holy Spirit and whatnot. And, she said, this is something new for me, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if China ever grew up in church or went to church growing up. So I really couldn't understand her understanding. I know that, everybody who's black doesn't grow up in church or grow up going to church and whatnot. So I just don't know China's history with church and if she's ever been to church and what her relationship has been with church. And once the service was over and everything, her and Miss Mary met up with Bishop Noel Jones, and they were talking about, Bishop Noel Jones, trying to get to know her and whatnot. And then, they were pretty much talking about how you need to stop hiring people that you're helping. And sometimes we invite people in that are going to break down the system and mess things up. And Miss Mary, she was talking so much when Bishop Noel Jones was talking, she might as well have been the preacher. So, so everything he said was pretty much what she was saying, other than her talking while he was talking. And China, was crying when they was praying and everything about what was going on. Even though I see through China's finessing, conniving spirit, I'm gonna just be honest. I believe Chyna just needs to be herself. You know, be the model, be the pretty girl, be the person that you need to be, but quit hiring all these yes folks around you. And quit hiring all these people that you're pitying and think that you need to pull on to you. And I've never understood that about folks. Like, if you don't really like somebody, why would you want to pull them in and like them and pay their way or even date them, marry them, just to make them feel good when it's making you miserable? Because there's going to come a time where you're going to get tired of carrying people and putting up with people's stuff, and you're going to cut the cord on them. So even though, like I said, I see China for who he is, Bishop Noel Jones had a point, and Miss Mary did too, because I just feel like with this whole show and everything that has come out, China should listen to that. I'm like, stick to hanging out with Lyra Galore and all these other Instagram models that you kick it with, and then actually come to your appearances on TV. I feel like that whole publicity stunt or whatever it was that she did with the real, it was silly and it was stupid. Because even if the show isn't really what it is, still come up to the show and promote it. Like, ever since this show has came out, China has gained over 1 million followers on Instagram alone from this TV show. So I'm like, China, you always wanted the show, you got the show, and you're getting the followers. So why not just carry it on out and through and stick to this same story that you're trying to stick with for the show on the real? Like China, I don't understand your logic and how you want to put yourself out there, because these interviews you keep doing on these radio shows are not helping you. They're not anything we don't already know. And I'm sick and tired of you saying, I don't get child support. Rob don't pay me child support. We know that. We've been hearing the same story for the past 4 or 5 years. Like, China, you're gonna have to really come up with something new, and you're just gonna really have to be bold and wrong about the decisions and stuff that you're making, because that little stunt you pulled on the reel, that was just so unnecessary. And I'm really glad now I didn't save it on my DVR to watch it, because I actually thought about saving it to my DVR and watching it and reviewing it, but China just ruined it. And to close out the whole episode, she's pretty much, listening to what Miss Mary said, and she's, speaking those little cliches about how when you go to the top, everybody can't go with you and be with you, whatnot. And she's right, but I feel like in this scenario, she's wrong, because, like I said, that whole scene with Treasure and whatnot, it was just fake. And then for China to go and be two-faced and say, get out my house, and this is my house, I own this lot, I own this. And Jamal was speaking sense. He said, China, she's not even on your yard. Said she's on the street, and that's public property, and you can't call the police on somebody who's on public property. And he was right. And China, wanted him to be the yes person, didn't want to argue with him, didn't wanted him to agree with her and whatnot. And that's why these people need to realize that China's just using them for her own gain. And those are all the people she run around. But if you got a brain and goals and mind of your own, you need to find another friend to work for or to be with. Because China just doesn't want those kind of people around her. She don't want people that's thinking the same as her, if not better than her. So yeah. So that goes, and then we see how Jamal is texting whomever China says that he's texting, the person he's texting, they end up sending China all the text messages and whatnot. And you could hear Jamal in certain scenes saying, this show was my idea. He says, I'm just tired of dealing with this. It's just so draining. And I mean, China is upset because he's expressing his true feelings, but being China the way that she is and the kind of person that she is, she wants someone to be in agreement with her so that everything can go on one accord and not expect for anybody to have any feelings. And Jamal was like, I'm pissed, blah, blah, blah. And, once they leave church and get done praying, and, she pretty much says what she says. And then we see like the scenes for the next episode of her with Lyra Galore. And if you go on her Instagram page, those pictures are already up and out. And then the next person she falls out with in the new episode is Jamal. And Jamal is saying, like, I gotta get my stuff out of here, blah, blah, blah. And China, of course, turns it around on Jamal and makes it look like he's the one in the wrong, like he's breaking and entering. Then we see the police walk up and through the house, and then Jamal's not coming out, and you got the sergeant and the officer knocking on the door trying to get him out. I'm like, Chyna, you are all kinds of lows for doing this to these people on this show. Cause I'm like, you are using folks and then you turning stuff on them to try to have a story plot so you can look all big and bad. And these people, are not expecting this. They got real feelings and real attitudes about stuff, and you just not caring. But anyways, when it comes to the next episode, I mean, we're just gonna see how Chyna is, and then we even see a scene with Chyna and her makeup artist, I believe, pretty much say, I'm not gonna be here by myself, and I'm gonna kick Jamal out, and if he starts wilding or whatever, and the makeup artist was like, he can do whatever he wants to do, but he's acting like he's gonna protect Chyna, and that's what Chyna wants. She wants people around her that will be her guard and not her guide, and be people that pretty much agree with her. But as we saw with Treasure and Ashton, they just couldn't put up with that no more. She gonna have to find some new dummies to pretty much be in her team because she's running out of people to use, pretty much. And that's really what this whole falling off is. Chyna is just losing the people that she's been using. And so that whole prayer, that was said by Bishop Noel Jones about getting people around you that's breaking the system. I mean, of course, he your pastor, so you ain't gonna say what I'm finna say right now. Chyna, you just need to find people you can use to take advantage of. That's the only way you're gonna succeed in that little world, a little image of yours. You're just gonna have to hire people that you can take advantage of. So thank you all for watching this video. Don't forget to like, leave a comment in the comment section, and have a good day.